Our sponsors for this episode are Hall's Tree Service. Locally owned and operated, Hall's Tree Service has been exceeding and surpassing customer demands in Newton and the surrounding area for over 40 years. Larry and his crew are guaranteed to work hard for you. There's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Hall's at 316-772-1919. Remember, there's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Hall's at 316-772-1919. Shamrock Car Wash. Shamrock Car Wash has 3 convenient locations in Newton, Wichita, and Mays. They were also voted Best Car Wash in Harvey County for 2024. Shamrock Car Wash offers your traditional hands-on wash bays, but also touts an in-bay touch-free wash and dry for an effortless clean. Make sure to look them up and follow them on Facebook at Shamrock Car Wash. That's Shamrock Car Wash. Or you can visit them online at theshamrockcarwash.com. That's theshamrockcarwash.com. Is your AC or heating system just not keeping up? Maybe it's not keeping your home or business as cold or hot as it once did. It could also be that all you're looking for is a reliable, trustworthy, and affordable technician to check on your system and do whatever maintenance necessary to ensure it's working as efficiently and effectively as possible. If so, give Air Quality Control a call at 316-285-3304. That's Air Quality Control, 316-285-3304 for all your air quality control needs. Well, hello, everybody, and hello, Chad. How is your week this week, Chad?
This week is a week of ironic feelings.
Ironic feelings. Oh, I can dig into that, my man. I love it.
Yeah, just ironic feelings, man.
Yeah.
That's the week.
That's
right
the week.
There.
Read into that anything you want, folks, and then tell everybody about it. Your interpretation, your perspective. That's all that matters, Chad, right?
I'll tell you what, let's people wage it out in the comments section for a little bit, and then I'll explain myself a little later. How's that?
What did Chad mean by that, right? Especially with everybody being so, focused on what I'm doing and what I got going on. That's easy to interpret into, well, he must be talking about me.
About you? I'm talking about you.
No, it's because Andy's not here again this week.
Well,
right?
Dude, God, I miss Andy. Man, I haven't seen Andy.
I know. Yeah, just busy. When you think about it, if you need a week off, that very easily can mean that you're missing 2 podcasts. And it's for people too. We do this pretty consistently every week, but there is times where Chad needs to take a break and go be with his family or has vacation or whatever the case may be. And one of these days, I'm going to have to take a break. I think I'm pretty consistent, of course, being here, but at some point in time, I know it to be true. I'm going to either be sick or I'm going to have family stuff come up or we're going to do vacation or something like that, but we'll always have a program for people to listen to 9 times out of 10. So, okay, I want to do upcoming events real quick. We've got a lot of good responses about that. They like that we do that. You can't cover upcoming events enough. Spoken by Chad Fry, the Kansan guy from the Newton Kansan. So, truth be told, we'll just go ahead and do this real quick. June 19th at 7 p.m., MHM, also known as Model Mog, Hardin, and Mayo, are at Dick Arboretum.
You're going to get it at some point.
At some point. I'm sorry, folks. Dick Arboretum of the Plains in Heston. You can go find more information about each group at dykcarboretum.org/events. So go there. Follow them on social media, go to their website, subscribe to whatever you need to be able to get upcoming events and things that are transpiring out there. Dick Arboretum is beautiful. Most people know, but some don't, that at one point I was a Hestonian, right? And so I frequented that place, especially as a youth, and just enjoyed it. And it's come a long way over the last 10 years. They've really
come a long way since those days of me going swimming over there as a student at Heston College. Yeah. And yes, I did that. I'm not proud of it, but
yeah.
And yeah.
Well, as long as you were fully clothed, Chad. That's
no comment.
It was college, you know. Okay.
You did say fully clothed, and it is swimming.
I love it. Okay, so June 21st, 8 a.m. to noon, Harvey County Farmers Market, 301 North Main Street. It's a great place. It's a great time of day to be able to get good weather over there. There's shade. It's I really like the move that they did over there. I think it's good. It's a good location for the farmers market. So make sure that you get out there to the farmers market and support local. At 2 p.m., Beetlejuice the Musical by Heston Theater Camp is at Heston Mennonite Church, 309 South Main Street in Heston. At 8 p.m., live music Flatland is at Moxie Community Pub, 1420 Old Main Street. Gotta say real quick, you know, we have seen Moxies change over time, change hands. People that have really wanted to continue to invest in some kind of a community place that people can go and they can enjoy either trivia or bands or whatever. And they've done a lot of work to that place. I need to go out there and just talk to them about it.
They had the Sassenachs last weekend. That was actually outdoor on the patio out front. And went really well. I actually talked to a member of the band that just had an absolutely amazing time.
Very cool. And I follow them, right? So I know that there are some upcoming events that are well worth people's time, and just get out there and support Moxie Community Pub. If that's not your thing, that's not your thing. But there's no reason why if you're looking for something to do, activity, they've got a list of stuff that's coming up. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, June 19th to the 21st is Sand Creek Summer Days, so just a real quick blip on that. June 19th, Newton Rebels Night is at Centennial Park, 7 p.m. They have the skateboard competition at Oakburg Park. So you can really just go down there, and it's Oakburg Park. You can even just sit in your car in air conditioning if you want to and watch the competitions there. There's a lot of very talented people that really love and enjoy skateboarding, and they'll be there to do some pretty cool stuff. I haven't seen anybody do a backflip yet, but I'm holding my breath because I think it's possible. I do believe it's possible. Okay, another one. Police versus Fire kickball game is at Kelch Field Athletic Park. After the game, Jacob Rivas, is that right? Rivas, and Samantha Melillo, I believe, is concert, and then there's fireworks. So sorry if I butchered those names, but I think that's correct.
But here's the important part, man. We got police and fire going at it.
Yeah.
And then we got fireworks.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a whole night of fireworks.
So they'll be close in case anything happens that they need to fix. Okay, but I think that's a cool addition, right? Last year we had the kickball. That was the first year. That was the first one. And then this year there's it again. So I think that the way that I saw, it's just going to be one of those events that continue to grow and people...
You know, I because of my work over at Community Corrections, I have a lot of contacts on the police force. So, you know, I'm just going to say, guys, you got to win this year.
Yeah.
Okay, come on. Yeah. Let's get her done.
They want it back. Praying for no injuries, because last year there was some injuries. But then
let the EMS handle the injuries. You guys win the game.
right? And so there will be people on hand in case of anything going wrong, right? If you get an injury, we got people there for you. If fireworks go awry, we got people there for that too. But fireworks, this is the first year they're doing fireworks for the Sand Creek Summer Days.
Correct. This is like the first public fireworks show in Newton in a really long time.
Yeah. So good call to the Sand Creek Summer Days board and all those that are involved to really find something that I think a lot of people will want to be a part of and enjoy. And I don't think it's going to be any small fireworks show by any stretch of imagination. So, you know, the day that we might be seeing the days where there's crowds of people standing on the bridges and on the bike path and everything else to watch this fireworks show. So do that, but also, you know, if you want to go and enjoy the fireworks, if you have it in you to buy a button to support the Sand Creek Summer Days Festival, you should do that. It's there's all kinds of events that are taking place. To continue that, June 21st, they're going to have the sand volleyball. They have kids play area and activities for all ages Athletic Park. And then June 22nd at 2 p.m., Gary Margaret Kreisinger presents their latest research.
Kreisinger, by the way.
Presents their latest research on local trails, Newton Area Senior Center, 112 East 6th. And then we'll just cover the rest of the events that are coming up here next week on the podcast. So I know that the farmers market obviously will be going at the same time.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's every Saturday. Something that I just gotta apologize. Okay, I know I'm not the only person that has a problem pronouncing people's last names, because I've been called Goomersley, Goozerly, Gozerly, the whole thing.
Frey is the one that hits me all the time.
I thought that's what your last name was until I got to know you.
For a matter of fact, my Little League baseball coach yelled Frey at me for 2.5 years.
Well, and then when you learn something wrong,
and then when he finally said Fry, get in there, I went out and got a hit, and that kind of that's when he figured it out.
Yeah. Oh, my name is Fry.
Oh, maybe I should quit distracting him.
I'm going to start calling you Chad Frey all the time.
Don't you dare.
I'll tell you. Okay, so I can't be the only one that mispronounces something, but I think it goes to a deeper issue, and this can't just be me. If you learn something incorrectly, it's very difficult to try to correct yourself over time. If I learn like Dyke Arboretum, okay, it's DY, right? CK, so I'm thinking Dyke Arboretum, right? But I guess it could be DIKE, but I would think if it was Dick, it would be DICK. So I mean, it's one of those things that it's English language here.
You're running when you start talking about Dick Arboretum. You're running in Mennonite circles, my friend.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, those names can get really tricky and really weird.
Yeah.
I can say that IR1. And that's just the way it works.
Cohen Kane, right? Like it's. I'm thinking it's. But then there's been times where I've thought that the last name that's spelled exactly the same is pronounced Cohen or Kane, and they're like, no, it's Cohen.
Yeah. Well, it's all what circles.
Gotta love the English language.
All what circles people were in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and then for some reason, this just popped into my mind. So I'm gonna have a squirrel moment. Squirrel. Okay, so truth be told, and this is just a little nugget right here for people to remember. It says, and I think it comes back to our biology and who we are and survival and Cro-Magned man and the whole thing. But for us to protect ourselves, one of the first things that our brain is conditioned to do in the first 15 seconds of meeting somebody is, we'll call it size them up, or to formulate some kind of an opinion of some sort. And I think it probably comes back to first initially, is this a threat or is this not a threat? So I think it's instinctual, but it's also true to say that in the first 15 seconds of somebody meeting you, they formulate an opinion, and it takes a lot. It's very difficult to then change the opinion over time, even if they were wrong in their assumptions. So just a nugget here.
That's why there's like millions of people walking around the planet that think I'm a real jerk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, it depends on.
And you know what? You have your opinion. You have your right to opinion.
Hey, and then here's this another thing for fear in society. How many people don't stand out or stand up or have something to say or shy away from discussing one topic or another topic based upon the fact that they don't want to be in the bullseye for anybody and everybody to have something negative to say, as though their opinion trumps everything. Do people sit back, Chad, and say, I think this, but I could be wrong? Am I interpreting this the wrong way? Is this my perspective or is this reality? Like oftentimes if somebody comes to me and they're like, oh, well, and this is very normal. I think most people have these conversations. They really do. But they say, oh man, I don't know about that Chad Fry guy. Or, oh, I don't know if I like that Chad Fry guy. Or, oh, he's a jerk, okay, or whatever, okay. But
why would you ride your bike to class? It's only right across campus. Well, it's because I got something going on with my family, extended family that lives about 2 miles away. That's right after class. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah, but then the assumption is that because, well...
But the assumption is Chad's an idiot, and that assumption... And,
Yeah, but they don't know, right?
That assumption never changed, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And guess what? Here I am 30, 40 years later. I know the assumption was made.
Yeah.
She said it right in front of me. I mean, I was like, well, this is what I got going on. She didn't care. She just walked into class, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess we're not going to be friends. But 40 years later, I'm okay.
How often does this happen? I mean, I want to say that it's like, and see, I try to catch myself, right? There's something in my brain that says, when I hear somebody say something about somebody else, that's your opinion. That might not be the way that it really is. That might just be, and so then I want to ask the question, well, what experience did you have with that? Because I tell you, and I don't know if it's just our community being the size that it is, whether it's small town, whatever the case may be, but people that have absolutely no basis to believe something that they're believing will still believe it and never ask questions. It's like, well, I could say whatever I wanted about Chad. Hey, did you know that Chad? Did you know that Chad?
It's a lot easier to just go into your house in the evening, turn on the TV, and just sit there. That's just a lot easier.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know, because I don't get to do that. But
don't get in the way. Don't make a scene. That's
so anyway.
Because when I was a kid, I showed up on the scene with lots and lots and lots of energy. Okay, and as an adolescent, that's not always the best thing to do, right? Okay, but I did, right? And I can remember conversations with my folks. It's like, if you can blend into the background, right, then it's going to go better for you.
Oh, I have always attempted to, and it's not easy. To be very honest, this is not easy. But when it comes to like anytime I go someplace where I'm headed into a new group of people, and I have to work, right? So I'm trying to think of a really good example. Well, the first time that I needed to go cover a county commission meeting in the Harvey County is a great example. I sat at the back of the room. I didn't say hi to anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just sat at the back of the room, observed, and decided I was going to be underestimated and just run under the radar. And I left without saying a word. Wow. I went back, I wrote my story, my byline popped up, and then everybody knew who I was at that point.
Yeah.
It's just, yes, that's a great way to... But you can't live your entire existence that way. It's just not going to work.
Isn't that a cultural norm at this point?
But there's no it's not like it's wrong.
Yeah.
To sit at the back of the room and be underestimated.
Yeah.
Just know that you're not going to be able to always do it.
And don't we live in an offense? I mean, I know we're getting into the weeds here, right? Because we did. I had a squirrel moment, and Chad, he's running with me from tree to tree to tree here. But
yeah, I'm gonna throw a rope around something here pretty quick.
Okay. I'll make this on a final note before we turn it over to find out what's been going on at the Kansan. But it's almost as though we truly, and I think people would agree, live in an offense-driven society. Right? Very self-centered, very offense-driven.
Offense is dominating our current public discord.
Yes.
I will make that that's a statement I will make.
Yeah, but then what happened to treating others the way you wanted to be treated? I mean, have you
don't even go down that road.
Well, and I'm just saying here.
Because,
is that just solely a biblical principle or what? I mean, isn't that the common good in society, right?
Okay,
I've been lied about. I've been lied on. I don't lie. I could see. I've had people misconstrue things that I've said. I've been privy to the telephone game where this was said and then this person said that and then they told somebody else and they went on down the line and by the time it got to the sixth person that got back around to me, it's like, what? What the hell are you talking about? And then and I know we're having conversations about it because truly. Through my life, through my experiences, choosing to do all the things that I've done in a public setting, my skin has gotten very, very, very thick to the point where I don't give a shit what you think about me. I don't care what you say about me. Say whatever you want. As long as you're talking about me, you're not talking about somebody else. Works for me. Absolutely works for me. And words hurt, Chad?
So it's okay that it's okay that someplace that they're tearing you limb from limb because that means that they're not targeting me. That's what you're saying.
And at least they're talking about me because I don't know if people realize this. I love that, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent.
Oh, well.
The more my name is said out into the ether, it just gets transferred over into good positive energy. I love it. Okay. Anyway, yeah, we rested there a long time, Chad.
All right.
Okay, so what's going on with the Kansan, Chad?
Well, I have a story coming out on Thursday that I think is really exciting. And it's about Brian Skinner.
Cool.
You know Brian?
Yeah.
Bright shining star out of USD 373.
Teacher of the year.
Was a teacher of the year in 2023. 23, Bethel College Young Alumni Award winner, I believe, in 23 as well. This dude is a bright and shining star. And so I'm super excited about the fact that he just got announced as a fellow for the Lowell Milliken Center for Unsung Heroes, which, if you've never heard of, I don't blame you, is here in Kansas. It's at, I believe, Fort Scott. And they do some really, really cool stuff. Google them up. They got some really cool stuff on their website. They got a museum that's got a Anne Frank exhibit right now that's going to go through the 22nd, which coincidentally is also the day that Mr. Skinner is going to be heading down there to start working with his fellowship. And so that is super cool. It's awesome. I think, it's one of those things that I'm very glad Carly let me know about it. Yeah. And I think, I'm glad that she is letting me help the school district scream at the top of their lungs, look at our guy. Yeah. She needs to do some screaming too, and she will. She will. Well, but yeah, it's just amazing.
If you go back through our archives, folks, it does. I mean, you might have to scroll a while because it's been a while, but you can find the interview that we did with Brian Skinner. Amazing guy. I mean, just all the way around. I don't think he ever sleeps. I think he has a lot of momentum right now going for him, and he's a younger guy. So I'm gonna hope and believe that he stays the course and that he just continues to do all the things that he's doing and being a rock star. And I think that comes full circle. So what else you got, Chad?
What else I got? Well, here's the source of my, what did I call it? Ironic feelings. Yeah. Right? It's not news to anybody that it's been raining. It's not, and it's probably not news at this point that we're under flood watches and warnings. Mm-hmm. But, we're coming out of a multi-year drought. And so it's like, do we be happy or do we be sad? And I'm sitting here going, let's be happy.
Let's be happy.
And I do hope that the wheat farmers can get in their fields really, really, really soon. Yeah. I think the only reason that we haven't seen any test cuts or really anything of consequence around here is because all of this rain has kept the fields wet enough that they can't get in and can't get through them.
A big old piece of equipment out there, you're going to be in a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a couple things. And then I wrote a little bit about a bridge that is washed out north of the community of Newton over near North Newton. Okay. It's out in the county. Okay. And it's a pretty tough situation. And just like this toxic mix that has created this really rough spot for Brett Eberly. Yeah. Right. And dude, my heart's going out to Brett because this is a really rough spot to be in. And I hope people can get this thing sorted out.
And so by watching the Harvey County Commission meeting, heard the public comments section, because I don't know, normally if you watch the meeting, you know that the camera angle changes from the commission to whoever's speaking, but for some reason, I don't know why, I'm not being critical, but the camera angle never changed.
They didn't have their regular people there to operate cameras.
And I wasn't
Tuesday.
there, right? Yeah, of course. But
it goes back to those first impressions we talked about, right?
Yeah. What's their problem? So they got it all jacked up, and they don't know what they're doing over there.
So they had somebody running about double and triple duty. So camera changes were kind of low on the priority list.
Like, I really never done this before, but I'll do my best, right?
and you heard Brett.
I know, and here's the thing. Listening does something for me. Okay, I trust my ears more than my eyes. Okay, that's something that I've always done. I don't know what it is about my psychology that if I'm listening to a lecture, or like in college when I was watching a PowerPoint or whatever, I feel like I can retain so much more by hearing than by seeing. And I also believe, and we'll cover something in later on, probably it's kind of funny how this is shaping up, because, we are living in a time in which it's very difficult to believe your own eyes. And if you're listening and you develop the listening skill, then you can pick up on things, inflection, with Brett, I don't want to call it pain, but I want to say I could really hear the hurt in his voice.
And the frustration.
Frustration.
Yes.
But I think frustration is the secondary emotion where, in his case, it's like, hey man, I'm here. I got my mother who's elderly. We need to have access. I mean, we've been in the community for years and years and years. And I know this is my bridge and this affects me, more maybe than it does somebody else.
Yes,
but
it affects him more than just about anybody.
Yeah.
So,
and what's the job of the county?
Well, but here's the situation on the bridge, and understand, Brett, if you're listening, I really am sympathetic to you, but quite honestly, the 103-year-old mom doesn't and shouldn't enter into this conversation.
Okay.
Because of the location of this bridge.
Fair.
Okay. All right. And Brett and I had a really great conversation after the commission meeting. So I was able to pick through that and start to kind of get to the roots of where his heart is. Right? And where his frustration comes from. And some of it, dude, I'm 100% with you all the way. All right. So I just want to make that statement. But because of the location of this bridge, basically, there is a small field that he has where he's got some livestock in it. And then there's another farm field across the street, but there's really it's so difficult. Really no street to be across, but across the fence row.
Okay.
Across the fence row, there's another field there that is a crop field that somebody else has got. And that is the entirety of what is served by this bridge. Okay? There's no homes being served by this bridge. None. I drove up there, I looked it, I walked it, and it wasn't that hard to do. And the only reason I drove out there on Tuesday afternoon was to just reform my memory, because this is a place, and I didn't tell Brett this, but this is a place that when I was training for a world record 10K that I would run. So I know this area. And quite honestly, you don't get to know a place better than when you're running or walking it. Okay, get out of your car if you want to really figure it out. And so that was why I was so confused because he kept saying this bridge and he gave the road name and I kept thinking, God, I don't remember a bridge here. So I had to drive out and see it. And the really short story about what's going on here is that some of the details are real sketchy as to where, how, and when a bunch of concrete rubble was dumped into the creeks. But there was. And all of that concrete rubble is now blocking the passage of water through the bridge. And that is what is causing the current washout. And I went and I looked, and and this is it. I mean, I hate to say it this way, but it's exactly what Jim Meyer said during the meeting. And I went and I looked, and when I went and I looked, not a hydrologist, not an expert, but I went and I looked, and it is exactly what he was describing. The channel under the bridge is blocked. And so what's water going to do? It's going to find a way around.
Yeah.
And it's found its way around, and it has completely eroded the banks. And when I say that, we're talking 10 feet worth of erosion. It is no little deal. So now we're charged with, because it is a county bridge, at least in all intents and purposes, is everything I've been able to figure out, it should be, because there's no city limits anywhere, and bridges are the county, roads are townships. So it's kind of like, so what's the county going to have to do to fix this? That's the question. And as I stood and I looked at it, I was just kind of like, as long as we've got this concrete in here, water is going to continue to try and find its way around, and it will find its way around. And then what?
Yeah.
We're going to be right back here. Yeah. It felt a lot like the sinkhole that I checked out about a year ago. Yeah, it's like, we can do this and we can try this, but at the end of the day, until we deal with the real root of the problem, we're going to be right back here again.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. It just takes money.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Jim Meyer, you do a wonderful job. I just got to say, absolutely 100%.
And where
Road and Bridge Director, no fault to you. Your hands are tied, honestly, in many ways, I believe, by how much funding you receive from the county and whether or not the commission wants to give you more money, therefore to be able to, have more manpower, to have more funding, to be able to fix issues that need to be fixed before they become in a dire straits.
Right. And when it comes to like resurfacing roads, he can only do about 23, 24 miles a year. Yeah. That's what he can do.
In every budget hearing, we hear the same thing, which is...
We got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of road that need it, but he can do 23 or 24 miles based on the funding.
Based on the funding.
You take a look at this bridge project, again, based on funding, it's going to be limited what can happen.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the year now off the top of my head. It's in my story. Multiple calls came in on that bridge because people wanted to get back in there and do some harvest, and some of the stuff was rotting out, the bridge, and it's old.
Yeah.
It is. So the county looks at it, Jim Meyer and the county crew look at it, and they're like, well, we got some steel beams in the yard, and we can put some new spans in here, and we can put new spans in here, and we can probably stabilize this thing, and we can probably do it for about no money other than staff time. And that's exactly what they did. And they did it within about 2 or 3 days of being called about the situation, because somebody's got to get back there. We're talking about your livelihood.
Yeah.
And you know what? Right now, when we're talking about Brett, and we're talking about Brett's livestock, we're talking about his livelihood. We got stuff that we got to figure out.
Yeah.
We're talking about livelihood. So it's not like this is an unknown bridge to anybody on the road and bridge crew, because they've been out there and they've worked on it within the last couple of years. Now we've got this situation. It's an entirely different situation. And Brett is upset and angry, not only because of that bridge, but because what he feels is just he feels like he's being ignored.
Yeah.
People aren't getting back to him. The county attorney was supposed to have a meeting, and that meeting didn't happen. And so I'm sitting there listening going, oh, man. Yeah. And so,
nobody,
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
I think that's the thing that bothered me the most, and not to, throw stones or anything, but if you're a county commissioner and somebody reaches out to you and sends you an email and says, hey, can you please have a discussion with me about this? And then you just get ignored. Well, I'm here to tell you, dependent upon the value that the specific commissioner places on an individual determines whether or not you're going to get valued and you're going to get talked about and you're going to get visited, and because we've already seen this happen. Roads in Harvey County, this is not a new issue, right? I have seen pictures from commissioners about bad roads that are washed out. We've had conversations about washed out roads. Well, why is it that on those instances and occasions, then that's being talked about, somebody's being advocated for, somebody's being met with, somebody's concerns are being communicated, and then that's coming up in a commission meeting and there's conversation about it, versus Brett's just sitting there going, do I not matter? I mean, what's
exactly
the deal here?
And then when you have, again, you have things that I don't feel like should be part of the conversation when we're talking with the commission.
Yeah.
But it does set context, right? Yeah. So now, we just got through a winter where we've got a landowner who, with a broken arm, had to haul all the feed by hand in 100-pound bags using a piece of plywood over a 10-foot hole to get to the bridge. Okay, yeah, that's an issue, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that's for the county commission, but there's some context. So if I would have spent my winter doing that, I'd be pretty upset too. Yeah. Especially when I believe, and I'm saying me too, I do believe this, that fixing that bridge is the county responsibility. The question is how and when, how much it's going to cost, and what can be done to make sure that we're not back out there in 3 or 4 years.
Well, and here's the thing, too.
I do also believe, quite strongly, because I went and I looked, that step 1 is cleaning up that concrete. So whoever it is that dumped it in there, you better figure out how to get it out of there. Because I don't want my tax dollars, Brett doesn't want his tax dollars paying that. Yeah. It's going to be expensive enough.
You know, we want government to work for us, okay? And this is something that we could talk about too, because we got another topic, so we got to move on from this, because I think the way our conversation's happening, it's going to tie into stuff that we're going to talk about later in the program, right? But you have, you know, people that really just want for government to work for them. And in the case of the county, it's my belief that providing services, such in the way of detention, law enforcement, road and bridge, faculty at the courthouse, tags, licensing, the whole thing, that should be their number one priority. And that if there's funding needed to be able to do that, quit questioning why we need it and start questioning how do we pay for it over a period of time. So that's two things. I just want to say, because we're going to move on to Halstead here, there was something that I saw come up on Mayor Dennis Travis's social media platform that about the Little Arkansas River near Halstead. You know, most people know Halstead. They've got flood walls and gates and the whole thing and everything there. Before we get to that, I was going to say, when you get a chance, watch the interview with Mr. Ward Willis, who is the Halstead USD 440 Teacher of the Year. It was great. You got to hear about that man's heart and why he does what he does. There, you know, it's kind of funny sometimes. I don't expect for some of the conversations that I have with people to go so deep, but just knowing the humanity, you know, and sitting across from somebody and having a conversation with them, you get to learn so much about someone. And if you have a 30-minute or an hour-long conversation, you find out a lot about people, right? You're able to really garner a lot of information about somebody, and that just doesn't happen as much in our society like it should, right? There's a lot of stuff that doesn't happen. But speaking of the post that I saw through Mayor Dennis Travis, they're predicted to hit the water level at 26.1 feet or 6,330 cubic foot per second this Friday, June 20th at 1 a.m. And
are they closing the gates?
I don't know that yet. Okay. It did not say they were closing the gates. It just the record, from what I understand, was 27.2 feet. So there's only 1 foot of water. Now, granted, 1 foot tall, wide, energy, all of that changes the game. But if that's the record, I don't know what Halstead is planning on doing, but I'm sure they're keeping that as a consideration, because there have been times where they've closed those floodgates before, and I don't know if that's the time that it hit 27.2 feet or what the plan is on that, Chad.
At some point, they're going to have to close the gate.
Yeah,
I would assume.
I would assume as well. Maybe you need to reach out to Chad Frey, the Kansan guy. No, I'm just okay. But anyway, yeah, just fun. Okay, reach out to Chad Frey, the Kansan guy.
I mean, I'll be monitoring it just like everybody else. Yeah. But yeah, just know this is where we're at.
Yeah.
After multi years of drought, we're talking about flooding. So
yeah.
Yeah. Love you, Kansas.
Love you. Okay, and speaking of all of this, okay, I did hear that Cheney Reservoir continues to go up.
Well, it needs to.
This year, we can cuss the water all we want as an inconvenience, but man, what a blessing.
Hey, we avoided a water warning in Newton because of this.
Yeah.
Okay, and guys, those restrictions are things nobody wants to go through.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't too long ago that East Lake was bone dry. I mean, we were sitting there. You can walk across 80% of it. I mean, it was completely dried out.
It's not the joke, right? Yeah. The joke always used to be you can walk across the lake, but there was water in it.
Yeah.
Right? It was only a couple feet deep, if that. That was the joke. No, we went beyond the joke. You could walk dry ground across the lake.
Yeah.
So,
and how damaging is that to an ecosystem? I mean, it's unbelievable.
It pretty much, I know. I think it pretty much destroyed the fishing out at East Lake for a while.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a long time to get back there to where we would like to be. Yeah. And myself and my boys have had to sacrifice a heck of a lot of camping trips this summer because that's our go-to. East Lake is our go-to. That's where we go.
Do you go?
Guess what? I don't care. There's water back in the lake. At some point, we're gonna get a stretch where it's not raining every day, and then we can go do some stuff.
Just wait a couple weeks.
Right.
I mean, it is naturally going to come around.
I'm just glad it didn't rain on the 40th anniversary of Wedgwood Golf Course because I was able to go play golf. That's the last time I played.
Well, and I talked to the Newton Area Chamber of Commerce on the update here recently and this week, and they had mentioned that there was some modification that they had to make to their golf tournament, but they, so really what it comes down to is. Yeah, okay, the amount of rain that we've gotten can pose a few inconveniences, but not anything that we can't drive around, if that makes sense.
Well, and, just for some perspective, and again, this is, so this would have been on Monday morning of the 16th that I put some numbers together. And so in 16 days of June, we had already exceeded the average June rainfall by almost 2 inches. And that's just us.
Yeah.
When you talk floodwaters, a lot of that's coming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
To the north and to the west and north and the east.
Yeah.
So, that's just us. And then we had, since that time, we've had two more storms. So.
And lots of rain. Big rain.
It's wet. Yes. And people aren't able to get their crops out of the fields because it's wet, and it's inconvenient. But there was still a piece of Harvey County in the drought monitor.
Really? Where?
Last Thursday.
Where, like north?
North and west, northwest, the extreme northwest corner was still listed as abnormally dry on their drought monitor. And a lot of the state was still being listed as abnormally dry on the drought monitor. So if nothing else, that tells you just how bad that drought was.
We were bad. We were in a bullseye. We covered on the program before that when you looked at a map of the state of Kansas and there was drought data that was being portrayed there, we were like the bullseye, like a red big blob that said basically danger, right? So, I mean, you can't curse it, except I suppose if you're the person in northwestern Harvey County, you're like, here comes the rain. And then there's no rain. Here comes the rain. And then there's no rain over and over. So that stinks, but we hope and pray it rains. And speaking of rain in Heston, man, I've been going back and forth to Heston almost daily for some personal business over there. And Emma Creek is up and out of its banks, and I mean it's not flooding people in the community, right, or anything like that. But there's just a lot of rain. Okay, so here's to the spicy. We got to get to the spicy that is transferable from both local to national, right? We try to, I mean, sometimes we cover national topics on this program, but we really try to keep things just as local as they can be. And understanding that national things do have an effect on us. If you really want to watch some kind of national news, there's plenty of national and global news outlets that you can watch. It's probably not necessarily what we're going to cover on a regular basis, although we do sometimes. But no King's Day protest, and what does it mean for you?
What does it mean for you? It depends on which side of the issue you're on as to what it means for you, to be honest. And I'm not into whataboutisms anymore. Never have been, really. I'm not going to sit here and give a bunch of those. I'm just going to say that, when you speak out and you do it peacefully, you're doing what's constitutionally afforded to you.
Yeah, and
let's
we
just
had a
move
local
on. Let's
protest.
move on.
We had a local one here in Hardin County.
did.
At the courthouse. Went very fine. People were there to express their beliefs that they feel like the direction that this current administration is going is acting in accordance with maybe a little bit more dictatorial style of making things happen, if you want to look at it that way, versus us being a more democratic society as maybe they would want. But yeah, for as far as locally is concerned, there was a decent turnout. There's people obviously that really feel strongly about this and want to have a protest, and I encourage that. Please do. Right, I think that when people are engaged and involved in the process, it only makes it better. I think when people choose to be informed and then put action behind that in a way and such that you'd go out and you would have what we would call a protest. Protest is almost turned into as a dirty word as politics, Chad. Have you noticed that? It's like, oh, a protest. Well, a protest is by definition, is a group of people that get together, and from there, then they speak against something that is going on. Generally speaking, government is doing it, whether it be a local, a state, county, or local, county, state, or national issue. So people being involved is not a bad thing. Even if I'm not one that agrees with whatever that might be, and I'm not saying I do or I don't agree with the No Kings protest that's going on, because I think we have for a very, very long time, and it didn't just start when Donald Trump became president.
Oh, heck no.
We've sit here and I've watched this happen, and we've talked about it on the program before, that it's good for me, but not for thee, right? And then we talked about the COVID and all the things that took place during that time and all of the executive orders. I mean, when you talk about a president's ability to have executive order, we talked about this on the program before, that this is not anything new. Administration after administration after administration, as we progressively go into the future, are utilizing the power of the pen from the presidency in the form of an executive order or an executive edict, because Congress can't get it figured out. What do you think about that, Chad?
President does not make laws. Period. And I don't care what party's on his name.
Or her name.
Until we,
I'm with you. I know.
Until we get smart enough to put a her in there.
Some beans.
Hey, I'm going to say him until we're smart enough to put a woman in there. Okay?
Oh, that's the controversial, Chad. I'm offended.
Let it be.
I'm offended, Chad.
Let it be. Let it be controversial. Okay? Down with the patriarchy. Gotcha. All right, let's go.
You know what I heard? I heard Lance said he was offended because there was something that Chad said that he said he was offended.
Yeah. But seriously, presidents do not make laws. You want to find me in the Constitution where it affords the president the ability to make a law. It does not. And I don't care what party we're talking about. Period. End of story. That's the deal. So these folks that screamed about executive orders signed by Joe Biden, fine, sure. But if you were part of those, I don't want to hear a flipping word about the No Kings movement. Not a word. Because they're advocating for the same thing you did.
Yeah.
It's just their party is different.
And this is one of those things that we talk about division in the psychology of partisan politics and whatnot. And I did a lot of research in my education about it. I did a field study, right? And what that means is that I go out and I garner information from, just generally speaking, that I'm researching all these things that are taking place real time and these things that took place in the past. And there's data driven on this. And it amazes me. And I don't even know if I'm amazed anymore, Chad, because maybe I just I'm in the process of learning to accept it, okay? Because I can no longer be amazed by something I see every day, right? I mean, it's like we're here in this situation. Your mainstream media outlets, television, the whole thing wants to frame whatever is happening that day in the content that they want to push an agenda, period. Same thing goes on the other side. They're both equally two sides responsible. We still are in this two-party system. So then it's like, well, it's okay if Trump does it, but by God, it's not okay if Biden did it. Oh, well, look what George W. Bush Sr. did, but it's okay if Clinton does it. I mean, we can just keep going back and back and back, and we've had the same argument over and over and over again, and it just continues to. I mean, at what point in time are we going to have people on both sides of the aisle that say, hey, what Biden did wasn't right, but what Trump's doing is not right either? Or who do we point the finger at, Chad? I mean, I know I'm just throwing a lot out there right now.
Who do we point the finger at?
I think we pointed at Congress. I think we've allowed Congress, our elected officials, to come home, to go to Washington, do nothing. And then come home, right, and be, it was those mean, dirty, nasty other party that's the problem.
I'll say something very inflammatory right now, okay?
Good.
And
That's what we want.
This is about Congress.
Good.
And more importantly, it's about the people that you vote for to put there.
Yeah.
Okay? Here's the deal. You let yourself get all distracted over social issues, and then you vote for people who will not represent you. They do not represent you politically. Period. There was a study that just came out this week about it. Start voting on actual political issues and start holding those people accountable for it.
But doesn't that change with the win too?
Let me give you an example.
I'm against something yesterday. I'm not against it today. I'm
going to give you an example. Okay? I'm going to give you an example. Point blank. I voted for Jerry Moran. I will always vote for Jerry Moran. And it's because of a principle that I hold. It is an economic development political issue for the state of Kansas. And that you can call me a single issue voter if you want. I'm fine. I believe that losing the Southwest chief would be a tragedy for the entire state, not just Newton. A tragedy for this entire state. And that man goes up there and defends Amtrak and the Southwest chief to his dying breath. And so for that, I will vote for him. I don't give a flying flip about his support of Donald Trump and how much he kisses Donald Trump's butt. Because that to me is not the political issue. The political issue for me in Kansas is the economic development of Kansas. And I want someone in our Senate that understands that when you talk about economic development for some of these small towns in Kansas, you're talking about whether or not they have a grocery store. You're talking about them protecting their hospital, which, by the way, Moran just came out and supported all of our hospitals. All of them. He understands that. And those are the things. And those are the political planks that have me voting for that man. I don't care about any of the social issues. I just don't. I care about the political issues. I want someone in that Senate that is going to put those things to work for us and represent us. There you go.
Yeah.
You might have a different set of issues that you want to vote on, and that's fine. But please do not continue to send these people up there just to get the libs.
Well, it's what it is okay. Now I'm going to go here. Okay,
based on abortion.
We're a constitutional republic. Many people think, for whatever the reason, we're a democracy. We do have some democratic principles in our constitutional republic.
We are a representative democracy.
Yes. Okay. So with that being the case, I see it time and time again. And once again, I say I'm amazed by it. I think the correct word that I'm looking for is I'm dumbfounded. That would be the correct word I'm looking for. Look that up, Webster's Dictionary, Oxford Word 2. Dumbfounded. What does that mean? Okay. When I look out and I say I'm dumbfounded by it, it's just speaking directly to you. I mean, it's like you can find out where somebody's at in about 2 minutes of a conversation with them when you say, well, okay, what do you want these people to do? Well, I want for XYZ PDQ to happen. Well, so what you're saying is you don't like a dictator, right? Nobody wants a dictator in chief unless, of course, they're putting out edicts that I believe in. So, and I'll say it, every time Donald Trump signs an executive order, it's just as difficult for me to accept as it is when Biden does it. It's not, it's like, I understand how government works. I understand the plight of the American people. I fault Congress for not being able to get things accomplished, but that was also the way Congress was designed. They don't want to just make laws willy-nilly. They want for there to be a consensus that takes place. But we have a situation where because Congress doesn't act, then a president feels necessary that they do. And the power of the presidency at this point in time, not just because of Trump, over the last 20 years, I would say the power of the presidency, no matter what side of the aisle you are on, has continued to grow to the point where I don't believe that it's what I definitely don't believe it's what George Washington had intended for our country.
What's going on in Congress is not what anyone intended for this country. Okay? Everyone who created this country had an intent of creating a country that would last and would progress.
Did you hear Chad just said progress?
I said progress. Maybe you should go Google the word and understand what it means. Okay?
It depends on what AI tells you it means, because now we can't get around what AI says.
Now, but dictionary definition number 4. You have to get over to number 4 for Congress. The verb of Congress. The verb form of Congress is the action of coming together. Do you really think that's what we have right now?
No.
We do not.
The art of compromise? Yeah, right.
That is what it was defined as by our founding fathers. Yeah. This is a group that's going to come together, and they're going to make law, and they're going to move our country forward.
Well, if I can't get you to make law that I want you to make, and I'm the executive branch, then I'll just have an executive order. Goes back to that no king's day. I mean, I want to say I agree with this. This is the key. I agree with the heart, the true heart of people that are waking up, no matter who it is, right, that says, I don't like that the executive branch or that the presidency can do this. I don't like that. I don't like that. Well, you may have thought that when Biden was doing it, that it was fine. But we also have this nature of people that until they're inconvenienced, they're not paying attention. So when somebody was doing all this stuff, you may have not even been for it. You may have just not, it didn't affect you. And then now that we have somebody that's doing things that you believe is affecting you, then all of a sudden you're against it. Well, how about we just all be against it? I mean, yes, there are times in which a president needs to have an executive order to address a situation that needs immediate attention, right? I think that's one of the reasons why they had executive orders. And there is some executive powers that they have, right? The right to pardon, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't have time today to unpack everything about executive orders and where it came from and how it originated, how it's changed over time and transformed. But I think everybody at the heart can get on board with the fact that we do not want to be ruled with a dictator-style regime. But even then, I'm not so sure that's not the case, Chad.
Well, the bottom line is that our Constitution limits the power of the president, and it does so intentionally. Just read Article 1. All due respects for the war on drugs and whatever else they've cooked up. According to Article 1, Congress is the only group that can declare a war. That's a limited power. Ask yourself why our founding fathers did that. And think about this. They did that before Hitler was even a fart in the wind. Hadn't even been born. Nobody would have seen that coming.
Well, they had
at that time.
Yeah.
So here we are. We've got a system of government that says no one man can do this. Cannot. It's going to have to take a meeting, and there's going to be several hundred people involved, and they're going to be representatives of the people who sent them there.
And that goes back to this legislation that we hear talking about. It's called, we can't get it today, but the big, beautiful bill and all of that's going on right now. I mean, I could even find, I mean, we're running out of time, but I could find fault with this fact that it's not even just this bill, because I'm sure there's things in the bill that I am 100% in support of, and then there's some things in there that I don't necessarily support. Yes, this person was elected to be president. Yes, these people were elected, so then that's the way it's going to be. What they pass. We can do nothing about it except for potentially protest or whatever the case may be. But we've gotten into this situation where these bills that are 1,000 pages long are passed, and even our representatives, even our senators, don't even know what half the stuff is inside of it. It's okay. So anyway, we're running out of time.
Go clean it up later.
Running out of time. Just go ahead and final word. What do you got for everybody?
Oh, you got me all worked up. Now you're going to have me do final word.
Well, it doesn't have to always be. It could be a warning, Chad. It could be you get a final word. It could be whatever you want.
Final word. Final word. Here we go. Next week, Camp David is going to be bringing in preteen boys, and they need some counselors. So if you think you'd like to spend about a week hanging out with a couple of teenage kids that have been through a lot in their life, and they could really use a positive role model, get on the Camp David website and sign up.
Very cool.
Seriously. I mean, yeah. And you know what? I don't care where you stand politically, and this whole program's been about politics, right? I don't care where you stand politically. I don't care where your faith is at. I don't care about any of that. I guarantee you will end up that week a changed person if you go be a counselor for those kids.
Yeah.
And you will be changed for the better. It does not matter where you're at right now. So there you go.
Beware of AI. We talk about it on the program a lot. Technology and artificial intelligence. We really are getting to a point in which it's very, very, very difficult to differentiate between what is actually happening and what is not happening. Okay? I deal with AI on a regular basis. I deal with technology on a regular basis. And I'm here to tell you that it is getting to the point in which you almost can't believe your eyes. And for people who have, God bless their heart, lived the majority of their life without all this technology, they're the ones that are the most vulnerable. So if you have parents that are in a certain age demographic, or you have kids, I mean, it is affecting every demographic across the board, and you need to be careful. Really, really think about this. Ask yourself this question. Can I even really believe my eyes anymore? Have a good one, everybody.